party's going to be so much fun. I can't wait for everyone to come. Don't you just love birthday parties?
Is today really her birthday?
Yes, it is, Elizabeth. The church teaches us that September 8th was the day Mother Mary was born, but it was a few hundred years ago.
Then why do we celebrate something that happened so long ago?
Because Mary was the most special person in the whole world. Besides Jesus, of course. Don't you think that Jesus would want us to remember his mother?
Yes, I see. If she is so important to Jesus, then she should be important to us too. We could never honor Mary as much as Jesus did.
Exactly. If God created Mary to be his mother and queen of heaven, who could be more important than that? Do you realize in heaven right now, all the angels and saints are also honoring Mary?
What does it mean to honor Mary?
When we honor Mary, we look up to her with respect and love. She is our heavenly mother.
My friend told me I have two mothers, my mother on earth and Mary, my mother in heaven. He said whenever I'm afraid or need help, to pray to the Blessed Virgin and she'll help me. Do you think that's true, Teresa?
Yes, Chris, I believe that.
Can I have everyone's attention? In honor of Mary's birthday, I would like to tell you a special story about her life. It's a true story. It really happened. This is a story about the holiest person that God ever created. Almost 4,000 years had passed since the time that God created Adam and Eve, and the people of the world had become very evil. Instead of praying to the one true God, they made idols of wood and stone and called them gods. In their false religions, even animals were gods, and they would bow down and worship them. The world that God had created with so much love had turned against him. But in a tiny corner of the world, there remained a small group of special people called Israelites. These people were faithful to God and obeyed his laws from the very beginning. Among these chosen people, there was a noble and saintly man. His name was Joachim. His family had descended from King David. There was also another child of God, a beautiful maiden named Anne. In all the world, you could not have found two more perfect people. As time went on, the holy couple, Joachim and Anne, were married and lived in Nazareth. Their lives were filled with love for each other and love for God. Each year, they gave over 1/2 of all their money to the poor and to the temple. And so they lived for 20 years. Their lives were complete except for one thing. They had no children. In those times, this was a great disgrace. Many times, full of sorrow and shame, they were insulted and laughed at. From the bottom of their hearts, they prayed that God would bless them with a child. With tears, Joachim and Anne promised God that if he gave them a child, they would consecrate it to him and to his service in the temple. As their loving prayers were raised up to heaven, God saw how faithful and good they were. Then, with great joy, God sent an angel to comfort them. The angel announced that Anne would conceive a daughter, and her name would be Mary. This child will rejoice heaven and earth and be blessed among all women. This child would be one of God's greatest miracles. After centuries of waiting, the time had finally come. God would create his greatest and most special person. She would be his most beloved daughter. She would be his dearest mother, and she would be his chosen spouse. She would be the bridge connecting heaven and earth. His mother would be perfect, perfect in all things. Even the original sin that was passed down from our first parents, Adam and Eve, the sin of disobedience and shame, would never touch her. She would be perfect. Mary would be conceived without sin. This tiny baby, whose name will be Mary, will grow into a beautiful young girl. The Archangel Gabriel would come down from heaven and kneel at her feet. This tiny baby would be more holy and more perfect than any other creature God had ever created before. or would ever create again. This tiny baby shall be known as the most blessed woman on earth. This tiny baby shall someday be the mother of God. This was God's plan from the beginning of all time. God made his mother perfect, even from the first moment of existence in her mother's womb. Mary is the Immaculate Conception.
Wow, that's an awesome story.
Here, Joseph, come sit with me.
Thank you, Mary. Father, that reminds me of a question. We pray before the statue of Mary, but shouldn't we pray directly to God?
Well, every day of our lives we should pray directly to God. But you know, let me ask you something. You have brothers, right? You have 5 brothers?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you only talk to one person in your family?
Talk to all of them.
You talk to all of them. Well, don't you think it's kind of great that God has this big, huge family, and he encourages us to talk to every member of the family? We don't just talk to one. Imagine how your family members would feel if you never talked to them. What if you only talk to your dad and you never talk to your brothers or you never talk to your mother? Don't you think they'd be kind of upset?
Yeah.
Yes, well, the same is true in our Christian family. We have a big, huge family that stretches all the way back to the beginning of time, and it's going to stretch all the way forward to the end of time. And while we should talk to God every day and share our life with him, we need to talk to the other members of our family. They can tell us things, they can teach us things, they can share with us things about God that we might not already know. And sometimes we just need to talk to somebody for special reasons. Maybe because we feel close to them. Maybe one of your brothers, on a given day, you feel closer to him and you just want to talk to him. It doesn't mean you don't love your mother or your father or your other brothers. It just means at that moment, he's the one you really need to talk to. The same is true with Mary. Sometimes we just really need to talk to her because the things we have to say and the things she wants to share with us are really important for us. So we should pray to God every day, but we should be grateful we have a big, huge Christian family and lots of people we can talk to.
Father Castor, some people think we honor Mary too much. Is that possible?
Well, I don't think so, Elizabeth. Could you ever love somebody too much? Could you ever respect somebody too much? The honor that we give Mary is the way that we show our love and respect for her. Just like Teresa's arranging these flowers, Mary takes all of our prayers and she arranges them and she makes them something beautiful for God. And by loving her and respecting her, we're doing exactly what God told us. He said that we should honor our mother and father. Well, as brothers and sisters of Jesus, Mary's our mother. By loving and respecting her, by giving her our prayers to arrange and make beautiful for God, we're doing exactly what God told us to do. We're honoring our mother.